Reserve time.
Some basic items in terms of his damage and his health output. I believe his strength gain is 2.3, if I'm not mistaken. That's not fantastic for a strength hero, and his health pool
10
does
seconds
not... It doesn't go up very high very quickly. He's very easy to gank himself.
Team pick.
And so as a roamer, he just ends up falling behind more often. You need to execute him very well. However, if there's a team in these SEA qualifiers who would be doing a strong job of their early game execution on somebody like a Tusk, it's probably Aero Game.
Aero definitely can do that. Now, what is Orange Esports going to pick themselves up a late game faceless Void here?
A late game faceless Void, I don't know.
Well, the Lich Timbersaw pairs exceptionally well with him, especially if they're going with the Exort Invoker.
Yeah.
I know he's not in vogue right now, but last time that I saw a Timbersaw Lich picked up together, it was to pair off with that Chronosphere.
So, I feel like it would work. I just don't feel like it's what they're going for. Orange does like to go fairly late. I wouldn't be surprised to see it. I just don't know that that is really going to be that effective. For one thing, Void is kind of susceptible to being ganked. He's got that time walk to get away, but typically in the early game, even in the mid-late game, if the Chronosphere is down, he's going to be going for a Mask of Madness, which means that you do, if you have multiple heroes around him, have a good deal of damage output onto him. He is very reliant on the Chronosphere cooldown, so you have a cooldown dependent carry. I just don't necessarily know if it's the best thing to go up against Aero Gaming's highly mobile squad with the Darkseer Surge, the Tuskar Snowball, the Io Relocate, the Mirana Leap, and the Moonlight Shadow.
That's going to be quite an initiation combo coming out of Air.
Yeah, if they are going to go late, I would rather see them go late with something more along the lines of an Anti-Mage or possibly APL.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, I can see that. I'm curious what they're going to go here. I mean, like I said, it's just that I'm throwing out there because that's usually the pairing that I see with him when he pops out. That said, though, I definitely am worried about, they have a little bit of a lack of lockdown right now as far as hard stun goes over on the side of Orange Esports. So they've got the Sand King, and that's really about it. So I think they need to get something lockdown oriented because Aero Gaming, like you said, is incredibly mobile. They have the Moonlight Shadow, they have the escapability, they've got speed on just about everyone. And without some lockdown, it's going to be really hard for Orange Esports to get those early kills.
They might be considering grabbing the Luna with the Lucent Beam, which is at least a mini stun. It would also give them a fair amount of late game. Luna versus Mirana. Once again, it's one of those things that Mirana, she's in a dual core lineup, which arguably here she is if you do get a fair amount of farm on that. It's going to be her. And that's a pick that I actually like. I actually like that pick quite a bit.
Okay. Interesting. So why do you so just fill us in.
It gives them so much mobility and damage output. It's also going to give them a lot of split push. Now, granted, the split push is dangerous because of the mobility that is going to be coming out of Aero Gaming. But if it is going to be executed correctly, if there's a hero in the game who can split push against what Aero Gaming has safely, it's going to be the Weaver. The only real concern I have about the Weaver is the fact that the Doombringer is once again a very hard counter to that Weaver. You get the Lincoln Sphere up. Level Death is a very quick spell that's extremely expendable. Lincoln Sphere goes down all of a sudden, and the Doom goes out. Weaver is toasted bug. So, Orange Esports picked two heroes who are hard countered by the Doombringer into the Doombringer.
So, and for those of you who might be joining us, this is the beauty of the qualifiers, right? Is that they bring different regional Dota to places that never get to see it. These are the top two Malaysian teams, probably two of the top teams in the SEA. I say probably. I know that they are, but I don't want to say they're the top two to make somebody angry. But at that point, they're on the top two as far as my stack count goes right now in the qualifiers. And so this is a pretty good match. These guys see each other a lot, so expect to see some pretty fast play. I would assume as soon as the core items come up, my experience with SEA Dota is aggression, aggression, aggression.
Really, it gets split about 50-50. A lot of teams still do that 4 Protect 1. At least they were when I was last casting for Join Dota League Season 1. It's a scene that it mimics China a lot, but it's also one of these bouncing off points for a lot of the aggressive world strategies that we see. Like the Lycanthrope came out of SEA, the AA's popularity came out of SEA, and so lately they've kind of been trendsetters. And right now, I think going into the TI series and coming out of these qualifiers, every region of the world is kind of trying to determine what region is the best tactics region to look at as trendsetters. America made a really strong case for their tactics, and we did see that the Mirana out of the Americas just has continued to become more popular. And I think that's one of the things that the Americas is adding, along with the St. Naga Siren mid, that style of stuff coming out of EG. But Southeast Asia has been a trendsetter for the last several months, and I don't expect that's going to go away.
The battle begins for good.
Absolutely. I agree. So right now we got a little bit of harassment going on there. Winter came out to try and get that rune.
He's not going to be able to be taken down any significant amount, but the harass is there. We should run through our players real quickly since we do have a brief moment. We on Arrow Gaming have Lance taking that Doombringer. Johnny is on the Magic Ball. We do have, it is Mozoon on the Mirana in the mid lane. It's going to be DDZ making it cold on the Tuskar, and for the off lane, it is Zai. I always butcher this poor guy's name. I've been casting this guy for months now. Always butcher his name. I don't know why. Anyway, he's going to be on the Purple Crusader, that Darkseer.
Excellent. So over on the side of Orange Esports, it looks like we are going to have the Timbersaw played by Winter. We're going to have that Weaver played by SXOCXS. I don't know how to actually, if that's supposed to be said as letters or as a name.
I usually say Skox.
We've got.
I don't know if that's right, but that's what I usually say.
I'm sure Twitch Chat can help us out.
Yeah, I'm sure Twitch Chat will flame us completely.
Is going to be played by Ysera, and we've got Lich is going to be played by Insidious C, and last but certainly not least, down in the lane, not by his lonesome, with a little bit of backup, who's in a fight right now. Sharky is going to be playing the Sand King.
I think I should be able to get away from this, but he's going to have to use a fair amount of his regen immediately after that engagement, which is not what he wanted to be doing. The Mirana is doing a bit of counter warding of her own, a very nice placement of this ward to make sure that it is completely out of the cans. You drop it down that river, there is absolutely no chance of you accidentally blocking anything.
So let me ask you this: when we looked at the draft, did you expect a Weaver mid and an Invoker in the bottom lane?
No, I like the Weaver mid. I think Weaver in the mid can be very strong, especially against a melee hero. And it's something that we don't see very often, but I personally like the Weaver mid. I don't know that I've ever seen it outside of pub games or low-level JDL games. Like I've run on my JDL team, I've run a Weaver mid before, but like we play it at Europe level 9 billion below Premier. You know what I mean? Like we up at the Premier League, you don't really see it that often.
Makes sense to me. And now that is to also they're going with the 2-1-2, which I think is interesting that they've paired up the Lich with the Timbersaw. We might see some action on the bottom.
Oh, down in the bottom, we might be seeing some action as Zing's Eye is trying to get away. There's going to be a tornado. It's a fair amount of damage coming out, and he is probably going to go down here. He does not have the surge. Yes, one last auto attack secures that kill, and now the Ion Shells continuing to harass down this squad. The double damage really helping out there.
Yeah, it definitely helped out a lot. In fact, Burrow Strike wasn't even needed in that engagement, so Sand King was able to save his mana, which is huge for them because it means next time around he's going to be able to utilize that Burrow Strike if they want to go on him again. So yeah,
I don't know that there's going to be a next time around. I expect that the rotation to the jungle is going to happen right now. Usually the Darkseer rotation in the jungle happens in 3 and 4 minutes. And since we're just about at that 3-minute mark anyway, and he died, yeah, and he is in fact going to the jungle. He's going to come in and try to get a triple stack up here. But, yeah, this is not the worst situation for Arrow. I mean, yeah, they gave up the first ball. Oh, they're going to give up Lance here, too, potentially. Razor, or Winter, excuse me, wants to come in here. The wand is going to be used, and the fire is burning him down a little bit. There's going to be the nice turnaround stun, and now Winter probably decides that that slap on the nose is going to be enough to get him away from that potential meal.
So that was it was a good tactic. Make sure he gets off. It was a nice play by Lance to draw him to the trees, make sure it was an easy arrow for Mosin to land to send him back. Had that arrow missed, it would have gone very badly, I think, for Lance. So smart plays there.
Oh, Lance is going to be moved in on again, and he has not gotten a lot of regen since the last time. That Unholy Aura doing a lot of work, but not quite enough. Some other guys going on. He is going to use the one. The Io's trying to come in here, and that is going to be a dead doom. In fact, the Io canceled out the tether there for some reason. I'm not 100% sure why. Now, Mosin on the chopping block. He's going to go down as well, and this has turned into a catastrophe lane for Arrow.
Yeah, this is just falling apart. The wheels are literally flying off the chariot as they move down this lane right now. And Wisp canceled the tether, I think, because he realized there wasn't going to be much he could do to save him and didn't want to be up close and personal to Timbersaw at the time of the engagement. That said, though, it just, I don't know, man. Tether in and try to help out that Mirana, but no, a nice double pickoff going the way of Orange.
Well, he had already cast the tether, so it was not cool. He had already engaged onto the Doom, and I don't know that cancellation, I don't know how low the Doom was, like, in terms of pure numbers there, but Wisp can heal up pretty effectively.
Yeah, well, and I think if he had tethered in, it would have meant that his initial activation of the Wisp balls would have been in range of Doom to get started with, or Timbersaw. So that would have pushed Timbersaw, I think, out before the Murata went down.
Yeah. Either way, it seemed a little bit like, obviously, I'm going to go back and check the replay on that just to see exactly what it is from player perspective that maybe caused him to think that the right move was to plot. Maybe it was the right move, maybe he saw something that we didn't, but I do not see the impetus for him to immediately cancel that tether.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't either. I'm just trying to guess at some of his motivations there. But right now it is 3-0. The gold lead is already at a 2,000 advantage for Orange Esports as they move into this 5-minute mark, and the sixes get ready to come out.
Right, so bear in mind also that this is a Quas Wex Invoker, not an Exhort Invoker. So Orange, we already said that they like to go into the late game or they like to go into the late game a little bit better than they like to play off early. But that is a much later because now they don't really have any good way to knock down towers except Weaver. Neither team really has good ways to knock down towers right now.
So I need to make a quick correction. Earlier I said these are both Malaysian teams, and they're actually Malay teams. I got it backwards. Malaysian is a citizenship. Malay is the people, and I should have known better. So my sincerest apologies to those on Twitch and Dota TV if there was any offense given in that comment.
All right, well, Toffee's the citizen of the world, but maybe screwing that up just a little bit. I didn't catch it either. I didn't know, so there we go.
Weaver is, you do.
And I'm the one who casts Southeast Asia once in a while, so. Yeah, don't be too hard on yourself. Weaver is just running around the jungle harassing out. Tuskar, in terms of his overall farm, he is third in last hits. He is tied with the Invoker, but has far fewer denies. Invoker on 17 denies.
Yeah, that's an impressive deny count. I mean, ridiculously impressive down there. And now he's at a point where he's really just kind of getting his own farm. So Invoker doing almost better on the bottom lane than I think he would have done on the mid in that traditional position.
Bear in mind that a lot of that deny count comes from the fact that he is complete. Oh, there's going to be an engagement by Arrow DDZ. He is going to get that polar punch, and Weaver is going to throw out the bugs. He is going to go ahead and Jishkuchi it, and he wants to get at least one kill. There's the EMP. The tornado is there as well. Secure one kill. They're going to throw out a couple offers. So Weaver's actually going to dive this. He throws out one more attack. The Geminate attack is not even needed, but it would have been there to cover up that additional kill. And 5-0 going the way of Orange, who are showing themselves a very strong early contender in this game, especially considering traditionally, if we were to give somebody an early game advantage just based on their play style, it would have been Arrow. Absolutely.
So, and that was just a beautiful play by Orange. Orange coming in off of a loss that they were favored not to be in that position. They came off a loss that there was 75-25, and I think maybe they came in here with a bit of a chip on their shoulder and some play to prove. And now they're going to do it on the top lane.
They're going to be moved in on again as the Doom goes out onto. Oh, great. Oh, out of the Lich. It is bouncing around. The creep actually took one, and it saved both of their lives. That one creep that happened to walk in, and now a polar punch will be enough to secure this kill. It's not there though. The Satyr ball is going to be used. Now Unholy Orange, why he stole that power, but the ball ends up being all you need. Great play by Arrow. That Lich ulti, man, they got really lucky on that creep.
So I was saying Orange is on fire right now, but that turnaround there was beautiful by Arrow. More importantly, it is important to note Io's arrival was incredibly well timed because that Weaver showed up just in time to be able to pick off both the Tusk and the Doom had Io not come in when he did. So great play by Io to make sure that he came up even though the fight was looking like it was being won, because Weaver would have been a very, very happy little bug.
All right, so taking a look at our net worth at this stage in the game, we are sitting at 3,300 for the Invoker. It is 3,000 for the Weaver, who's going right neck and neck with the Doombringer. And everybody else is just kind of tailing in a little bit behind. It is worth noting, though, that Tuskar is finding his farm. Like, he doesn't need a whole ton of farm, but he does need something. And right now he's sitting in the top 50th percentile. As long as he doesn't go down one or two more times, he should be all right to be roaming around here starting in about a minute or two. And Invoker does get a kill, but Weaver keeps fronting up in this lane. I expect there to be some actual activity. So sorry I missed that kill with the Weaver, but once again, that mid lane is just a hotbed of action.
Uh-oh, let's look at the river there. There's a jump in. There's the arrow by Mirana. Just barely misses.
Great cancellation of the salve, though. Yeah. One auto attack, all she needs. Now remember, this is a support Mirana. She can't really stand and fight. She doesn't have a leap, and she will go down.
And that was beautiful. So that was beautiful next level, the usage of that chakram by the Timbersaw to make sure that she had literally no escape options. Had she left, she barely would have cleared the back end, and they still probably would have that kill.
Timing will be going down, and the time lapse used to get the Weaver and a dodge. Darkseer is here, but not nearly in time to make anything happen. And Timbersaw now in the bottom lane. It's going to snowball in, and that is going to be a kill onto the Invoker. The Courier narrowly getting away from that. Otherwise, he would have had the same fate.
Yep. So right now it's Orange is just putting together some really good aggression and really some really smooth rotations and backing each other up. That said, Arrow, you can tell by the way that they are getting these kills that they're executing their game plan. They just have been about, I want to say, like 6 to 12 seconds behind Orange rotations so far in this game. So literally they have almost the same idea for these team fights, but it's coming just a few seconds after Orange is already prepped for it.
All right, so about 3,000 gold and experience lead in favor of Orange at the moment. And I don't know, this is going to continue on this path for quite some time. Because once again, neither team can really knock down towers. Even if they get good kills, like, they don't really have the ability to siege these towers. And there's going to be the Doom going out in the Timbersaw. The Lich, however, coming in trying to help. Now the IO coming in. The Lich ult will be broken, though, immediately. No bounces whatsoever. The Tether is going to be out on the Lich. Meanwhile, the Shockwave is going to go out, and that is going to secure a kill on the Timbersaw. The Lich is hiding behind the tower as the Sand King comes in as well. The Weaver also coming back. They're trying to regroup here. This is 5-man rotation as the Tuskar rotates around. He's going to throw out the Ice Call. And he is looking for a snowball. The Courier actually getting microed away. The snowball going in very deep after the Sand King. I expect him to keep running here. And now Timbersaw has to back up, even though he has a double damage room. He is all by himself. That bought a ton of time, though, for this tower. And look, it's been 15, 20, 25 seconds with a catapult on this tower, and it is barely down a quarter of its health.
Well, it is worth noting that that initial kill on the Timbersaw came because Weaver got to the fight late. And the reason he got to the fight late was the second that engagement started, Arrow began to work lockdown on Weaver all the way in the mid lane.
Oh, DDZ.
Nice! Snowball!
Snowball dodge, and he comes out onto the cream. Now an Arrow. He's winning from the high ground out of the jungle. The ice path is there, or the ice wall. And that is going to be Tuskar coming in. It's ice shards. We don't see this here very often. I always do the ice wall. All right, so
Ice Shards, he's been using it very effectively, using creeps to form body blocks when used in lane. Arrow DDZ clearly knows how to operate the Tusk, but what I was saying is he used the Ice Shards as well as the Snowball to delay Weaver here, to delay Weaver again here, and to delay Weaver here. So literally 3 times Weaver tried to get to the team fight and was delayed by Tusk, and that's why he arrived so late.
All right. I want to take a note, because this is reminding me of a little conversation I had with Porcelain Lily from Dota Talk a little while ago. When I first started casting SEA, you know, I had casted with her before for some North American stuff and given her the rundown in some of those teams. And I was just chatting with her in one of the lobbies, and we were on Skype and chit-chatting, and she said to me, next time you see Arrow versus Orange, expect that game to be absolutely off the hooks, because the game was going to come up the following day. Because these two teams always seem to have grudge matches against each other. They are, a little bit of rivals in the region. EDZ is going to once again snowball up and try and dodge. And he's going to send out onto, wow, great polar punch, and that is going to secure a kill on the Sand King, making that a 1-for-1. No, the Mirana goes down as well. And now the re-engagement coming out as they dive the tower after the Darkseer is going to surge away. But yeah, melee on melee. It is aggressive Dota. We're at 12 minutes, 16 kills.
Yeah, that was actually pretty phenomenal play. This Tusk has been on fire so far in this match, and if there's any redeeming, and right now I think Arrow is being kept in the hunt by the play of this Tusk so far.
The Blink Dagger is up on the Sand King. The Weaver's starting to get toward that Lincoln's. Let's see, the Headdress is up on Darkseer, but other than that, not a lot of big items coming out. No Force Staff on Evoker too, actually. So Orange is just far enough ahead, about 3,000, at a crucial juncture that they have started finishing off important items, and Arrow hasn't. This is the exact time that they need to hold on their aggression to make this a teeter-totter point in the game. Really use that fulcrum advantage and come in, and they're going to do just that. The Snowball, once again, they'll use the dodge. The efficacy of this move, as it is used here by DDZ, I have never seen before. He is going to go down, but they're going to blow the epicenter on it.
So they blew the epicenter to make sure they get that kill off, but you're right. It's the change to Snowball especially has really enabled that sort of disengage or disjoint, basically, rescue me sort of philosophy, kind of like a phase shift by Puck, but early on it's powerful because you can sit in that Snowball for so ridiculously long as it charges up.
It does give you that fair amount of time.
4-second launch time.
Yeah, it is like almost twice as long as the Shadow Demon. ability to disengage someone from the fight with the soul. Wow, the disruption.
And the beauty of it, the thing that we don't see utilized enough in the Huskar that I keep waiting to see is you can utilize that and pull your friends in. So in a situation with a big team engagement, a fast Huskar can actually get in Snowball 4 seconds and grab his partners and get them out of a big engagement like an epicenter from a Sand King.
Yeah, that is actually very, very clutch. The ability to quickly load a bunch of people into that snowball for a big AoE. The one problem with it is then your opponents know exactly where you're going to be when you come out. Well, the way he's been using it right now, and one of the reasons that it is so effective at the moment, is the fact that he is just buying time for the rest of his team to rotate in with it. If you have your whole team there and then you're all sitting in snowball, you might buy yourself a little bit of time out of the epicenter, but you're also giving your opponents a bunch of time to scatter and get very, very prepared for the reinitiation. There's a plus and a downside to that.
And there is a plus and a downside. That said, keep in mind that as you come out, you do get the benefit of stunning someone and having increased damage per hero inside with you. So once again, it's a wash. It's a very specific play, but it's a value of Huskar that we just don't really think about enough, is his ability to isolate himself from those aggressive plays.
Yeah, well, it is one of those newer things. And remember, this is a hero that a lot of analysts have been saying, oh, we'll probably see a fair amount more of him, especially in the aggressive regions or by the aggressive teams. Well, it hasn't really happened so far, but now we are starting to see. I mean, once again, Shadows of the Past played him last night. We're seeing him now being played by Arrow Gaming. I'm thinking perhaps this is the watershed moment for that Huskar coming back in the game. But a little shout out to my editor over on Join Dota, Malistrix, because the senior editor over there, he loves Huskar. He always plays Huskar when we go pubbing. So shout out to him. Just wanted to throw it out there.
No, he's definitely a strong support. I've toyed with him before. I've watched others toy with him. But like you said, he just hasn't had the chance to crack meta. And maybe this will be the watershed. SEA has brought us a lot of heroes in recent past. Oh, engagement on the bottom.
Yeah, that is going to be a kill on Darkseer. 12 is doubling up by Orange. But they're still not even 4,000 gold in the lead because they can't get any towers. All towers still up for both teams. What did I say in the draft? No sustainable tower damage. They're only just now getting to the point where either of these teams have enough damage to even knock down tier 1s at a reasonable pace. Tier 2s are still way, way far off. So this is high aggression, but it is not going to be over anytime soon.
True. Now, the only differential that's really perceivable at this point that I think matters is the fact that the two support on the side of Orange are significantly higher level than these supports over on the side of Arrow. In fact, IO only is still sitting at that level 6 mark, so only about halfway through it. I think that's going to hurt them.
It's going to go down. And the engagement attempt coming out of Winter, but Doombringer's just out of there. And he is sitting on a Blink Dagger now. So Tornado goes out, is going to hit the Mirana, but that's not going to be enough. I like that they're running this Mirana as a support rather than as a carry. That is the way that she can be diversified is not something that we really see outside of
I feel sad for them.
this region. Like most other regions, just players carry these things. The Doom does go out onto the Weaver. Lance taking a fair amount of damage, and there's going to be a very slow snowball coming in, trying to make sure that Weaver goes down. He does end up getting squashed like the bug he is. Io is going to leave, and Lance is going to follow DDZ all the way home to safety. They're actually going to try to push to tier 1 bottom now. So
yeah. Arrow got off to a slow start, but they really put their heads down, stuck to it, and utilized the value of that early game tusk to get themselves back into this. And they really are, because the gold
EMP on the top, and the leap is there to get him out of danger. But Invoker wants to continue to fall. I don't know if that's a good idea. It doesn't really have a lot of damage.
I feel sad for them.
Nah, he'll back off, and they will get this bottom tower. So Arrow, who was down by about 4,000 and kind of having a little bit of a struggle on the riding that struggle bus early on, is now only 1,000 behind and really pulling into a position where they can start to take this game away from Orange if they want to.
Yeah, as long as they continue to get towers. But here's the thing, the exact same way that they got that deficit to be minimized, which is the fact that their opponents couldn't push any towers, and they actually got the first towers. That is going to be the same thing that stops their league, because they can get all the tier 1s, but then they can't get tier 2s. They really can't. They don't have the damage to do it unless they get like a full team wipe plus a buyback dieback sort of situation. Right. I don't see them getting any tier 2s anytime in the next 5-6 minutes, which means that their opponents will be knocking down towers faster than them once they get all the tier 1s, and that gold lead is going to even out, because right now the deficit is going away simply because Arrow is up on towers. And as soon as those towers even out, Orange is back in the lead again, just not by that much. And that is the heavy downfall of this style of play that both these teams are doing. they are really just focusing on heroes, but the lead that you get killing heroes in the early game is pretty minimal. If you are unable to objectify that, or unable to take objective on that, then what's the point other than demoralizing your opponent?
Right. So sorry, I'm talking to Twitch chat at the same time because they are having all kinds of good debates up there. But right now, 12-7, and Orange does pull it back just a little bit. But as we transition into that 22-minute mark, I don't know. I think Orange. Well, Orange still has the advantage. I would say that Orange is still winning at this point in the game.
Yeah.
Arrow has some potential, but the problem is, like we said, that Husker really starts to fall off 15-20, and I imagine he will fall off by the time we hit that 25. So this late game transition, you got to kind of give it to that Orange.
Yeah, going into the mid game, we're going to see them blow up this Darkseer, which is going to be very helpful. And they're going to immediately collapse onto a tower. They should be able to take this. They've got all 5 here, plus the Weaver's ability to knock down the tower just by himself effectively at this stage. Should be very solid. And it looks like Arrow wants to trade off the last remaining tier 1 for it, but they won't really be able to get in position on
was never my favorite.
So this is going to be a team fight probably in this mid if Arrow does not back out right away. Johnny actually coming in for 1 auto attack, and that is maybe a little questionable. No, the Tuskar is going to be in on his own. The Arrow goes out and does actually kill that safety. Now on the bottom end of that fight, we do have the Weaver who is doomed out. He's probably going to go down. The Deny is there ready, but no, DDZ doesn't want to allow it. He's going to come in with the Blink Dagger. He still has that Ice Shard, and he managed to get that there. There's going to be the Tornado EMP. DDZ is going to go down for his kill, but he did manage to make sure that that was a kill, not Deny. And since he is a semi-support, semi-carry, oh wow, and Io's gonna get picked off here too.
Yeah, I think it was well worth it though. Like, he made sure that the kill went down. He made sure that Weaver didn't get away. And what a link! Wow.
Links!
Beautiful job to get that away using that tether. That was phenomenal play by the guys over on the side of Arrow right there.
That was money. That was Johnny Cash is what that was. That was stellar. Stellar play by Io. And of course the Miranda getting herself in place too. Extract that Io from a very dangerous situation. BKB is up on the Doombringer now. So they've managed to get, Arrow's managed to get past that hump where they didn't have any items and Orange did. Now the mechanism's out on the Darkseer. The Doombringer has that Blacking Bar and the Blink Dagger. There is the mechanism about to come out on the Lich for Orange. And the BKB is also up on Invoker, who's doing very well. In fact, sitting up second in net worth with the Doom sitting on first.
Absolutely. And so yeah, I think that we've seen. Oh, just barely misses that. I think that we've seen that Orange is really and is like we said, taking firm control right now. And I don't know, what does Arrow do to try and keep themselves in this game as they transition into this 25 to 30 minute mid late?
Pick any hero, knock down that tower, warding up here, here, and here, and get prepared to go in and get some ganks. That is the game plan that is the doctor's recommendations for this game. Get a pick, get the tower, get the vision up that you're going to be able to use the gank. On the backs of those ganks out of the jungle, they need to make sure that they're taking map control because they're not going to be taking objectives for a long time after that. So get that map control up, really force Orange to put their heads down, and at that point in time they can maybe retire into a Roshan and get enough damage up that they're able to take towers again.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that completely. I think that one of the issues right now is Arrow's chance, because that Weaver still doesn't have his core item completed in the sense of he's still sitting on Perseverance in the Ultimate Orb, and now's their opportunity to try and make that move, get a pick, and push a tower. If they wait another 5 minutes or so to make that happen, I don't know how they get themselves back in this, to be honest with you.
Yeah, well, it is very difficult to see just because the Mirana does very well in the late, and I don't know, the forecast is hazy. Ask again later.
It's hazy.
The Mirana goes very well late in a dual core. The Doombringer hard counters at every stage of the game that Weaver. Also hard counters at every stage of the game that Timbersaw. The ability to mute out. I know that obviously Timbersaw can't escape. I'm pretty sure that Timbersaw actually has his reactive armor muted when the Doom's on him as well, which is a big part of his survivability. So he completely just becomes walking target when that Doom is on him.
Absolutely. That said, though, his farm is still pretty strong in the sense of he is only about 1,500 gold away from getting that Bloodstone up and running. So he's done a lot better, actually, Winter, in this game than I thought he would up against that Doom. Doom hasn't really been able to utilize it because of the fact that Razor's been his primary Doom target, and that's a lot of the reason why Razor is still sitting, or I'm sorry, Razor, yeah, is still sitting on trying to get those items up and running.
Yeah, so you mean shocks, right?
Shocks. Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
Weaver.
Sponsored by Razor.
Razor's,
So
of
many,
course, the sponsor,
so many
so.
names now on these on everybody. But you're
Yeah,
right.
it
Razor is the sponsor. So Shocks, who is playing the Weaver, is I think having a little bit of trouble getting his itemization up and going the way that he wants it to, due in large part to the Doom.
It's also a little confusing because in the West, usually the sponsor names come first, and in the East, the sponsor names come last, and it's always a little confusing when you're switching from region to region, as we do frequently. Here's the smoke coming out of Orange. They're looking in their own jungle because they know that the aggression coming out of Arrow is their only key. There we go. There's going to be the blink. There's also going to be the stun coming out. The Mirana is going to leap away. However, it does not look like DDZ has that option. Now then, however, the Lich ulti is going to come out here. This is going to be the Iowis, and this turned into a good old-fashioned farm for a Razor, or the Lich is going to go down to max bounces coming out of ends on the goal, and there's going to be Sand King ulti as the big boys just bash it out with those Black King bars. They continue to hack off, and now Doombreaker's actually stopping to attack off his bug while Ozen does go down to the Weaver. Now Weaver's being triple ganked, and he should go down. No, the time lapse. He is on top of ward, but it's his own ward, and he's going to be able to get away there. Wow, what a bummer for Arrow. They managed to get 3, though, so this is the moment where they can grab that tower. If they grab that Weaver, they might have been able to get a fair amount of damage onto a tier 2, but at the moment, just being able to grab that mid is key.
Yeah, I mean, you go for a 3-for-1. Like we said, they had to make a move, and they did it, and it worked out very well.
They're not actually going to be able to get that tower because the respawn times are so quick still. At 25 minutes that they couldn't even get over there fast enough to make that tower happen.
Yeah, it feels like the game is farther along than 25 minutes right now, the way that these team fights are sort of developing. But
oh yeah, we've got more than 25 kills in 25 minutes, which is, I mean, there you go. That is Orange versus Arrow for you.
I will say that Lich Ball of Death put some work in that fight, man. They got, I think he got 6 bounces. Did he get 6 bounces out of that thing?
I think he got max bounces.
I think he did too. And there was no creeps around, so that was literally max bounce just played entirely on
one
the
bounce,
opponent's positioning.
ended on a mud pull. But other than that, I'm pretty sure it hit all heroes, and it was bouncing around. However, they did do a lot of work onto Doombringer while his BKB was up. So that was unfortunately a little bit of unlucky RDM for the Lich. If it had stayed away from that Doom, or if it had gotten caught on 2 or 3 heroes away from the Doom, that would have certainly been a double or triple kill.
Yeah, no, that was a pretty phenomenal engagement. So Arrow has 3 blink daggers on them now, and I think that might have been part of the delay that we saw coming out of them as they waited to get those initiation items up. And Arrow really is coming back strong. They've pulled that gold almost down to even. XP is really a marginal difference at this point, and they're nowhere near out of this game. The only problem they have is that their Huskar is going to fall off, and then they're going to have to start taking these fights essentially 4v5 until that, what do you say, the BKB start coming up and that Epicenter becomes ineffectual?
Yeah, well, the Epicenter will naturally fall off on its own anyway. I mean, just because health pools get bigger and Epicenter does not do more damage after a certain amount of time. So it will end up falling off whether or not the BKBs come out. But it does look like the Tuskar is working on a BKB now. And I expect that we might even see a BKB coming out of the IO at some point in time as well, just to make sure that he's able to stay up and heal out the rest of his team as much as possible. Here we go. The mid tower push is coming. It's coming a little bit later than I expected. But to be fair, Orange hasn't really gotten out to counter push them anyway. So the timing's right as long as the timing comes out while they still have a positional advantage. Doomer is swinging the big stick and he's trying to make it happen. There's the blink. He comes in, he dodges Tornado with it. Doom goes out oddly enough on the Lich, who is going to have to extract himself from the fight. And there's going to be the Timbersaw trying to slow up and he's going to get in and not be able to get that knight. He's going to get in, and there's going to be the Sand King as well. That can get 1 kill with that Epicenter, but just the IO, which is not really a great trade. The Lich did end up going down as well. I don't believe that was a deny. Over here in the river, we do have the stun going out on Lance. Lance is going to stomp and stun himself. And now the 3 attacking over onto Lance. Lance will be going down. 4 actually attacking into Lance. And the invisibility room just spawned right next to the Weaver.
Poor guy.
Invoker's actually going to grab that.
Yeah, so it was actually a really nice arrow from Mirana to try and rescue him out, but they really just surrounded him. There was nowhere for that Doom to go. So he put up a good fight, almost got a kill when that arrow hit, but no such luck. In Orange with a nice counter, but Arrow with a good push. Now the Doom on the Lich, an interesting play. What do you attribute that choice to? Is it just because he was the lowest hero up there, or do you think they were scared of that bouncing ball as they tried to objectively push that middle tower?
I think they were trying to stop that chain press from
I think so.
A, he was low enough that the Doom would kill him. So he knew, throw the Doom out, Lich has to extract himself. There's no way he can stay and fight. If he extracts, then he can try to grab a deny, or if he extracts, he can try to get to the fountain. If he stays, he will definitely die, and all he'll get is a couple right clicks, so he might as well get out. That guaranteed them a 4-on-5. So that's very, very solid. But what they didn't actually get out of that was the ability to stop that Timbersaw from initiating, the ability to stop the Weaver from initiating it, and that might have ended up being much more important. And we saw once that Timbersaw and Weaver got in, things really took a bad turn for Arrow.
So Doom picked up the Ag Scepter we just saw from Phage Guy, which gives him scepter damage per second of 110, the duration of 15. So I'm not a mathematician, but I believe that that's over 1,500 damage, which means that if he dooms a Lich on contact, Lich will simply die.
Yeah, well, there's the 25%. It's not pure damage, so it's 25% magic reduction.
I think he'll still die, as he's only got 850 HP.
Yeah, no, he'll definitely still die. Yep.
So,
I mean, it's also bear in mind that the Doom counter doesn't tick down when you have a Gandalf if you're nearby. So until Lich gets away, he's definitely going to die, but he might get denied, and he can also be healed up while it's occurring. So there's a mech in play. There are a lot of aspects. Oh, this deny just bought Arrow a ton of time at the cost of a very little amount of map control. They now are not going to have to deal with a 1,000 gold drop as the tier 1s drop. There are no remaining tier 1s for them to worry about losing. And once again, the damage for the tier 2s just isn't out, although it's better on Orange than it is on Arrow right now, because Orange does have the Invoker and the Weaver, both of whom are starting to hit kind of hard. But they can't really go into tier 2, so Arrow knows as long as they don't die a lot, there's not any significant amounts of gold coming out to Orange that Arrow doesn't have access to just as easily.
Yeah, and Arrow's about to have, BKB's about to be up on DDZ. Mosin also, I think, going to go for the BKB. He could decide to go Desolator if he wants to. He's halfway there. He's going to go Maelstrom, I'm sorry. So he decides to go Maelstrom right out of the gate. So no BKB up on Mosin. I really kind of wish that he had gone for that BKB, to be honest with you.
Well, he is a support, so...
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I guess that's a fair point. He
doesn't really need it. If he dies, whatever. He's already gotten the Sacred Air out, usually. So... That's basically what he's there for. He will probably go for the BKB next. I imagine. The BKB is coming. It's just not out yet. Can't prioritize it when he's a support, and you need to be making sure that he's getting up things like, well, he got up a Midas, so I guess that's not the best of all support items, so we'll manage to keep him in running for that BKB. No, he's going for a Maelstrom, so...
Yep, that's what he's going Maelstrom, and he also picked up the Hand of Midas, so I think that we're seeing a transition to that Murata into a late game potential soft carry. That said, Doom is getting pretty fat in the sense of Ag's BKB, Blink Dagger drums. He is going to start to really bring a lot of pain to these fights, so Arrow's really starting to get the fat that they want going. That said, Soxus has his Lincoln Sphere running. He's about to finish his Desolator, so once that Desolator comes up, those two are going to be able to go head-to-head. It's going to be a pretty interesting fight.
Timbersaw actually prioritized the Lincoln Sphere over his Bloodstone as well, which is an interesting choice. Not what you usually see.
Yeah, I didn't expect that.
It makes sense if you're worried about the Doom coming out. But once again, Doomburger's just such a good hero to deal with teams that like to get that BKB or like to get that magic immunity of any sort. Because you can cast Doom through that BKB. And then in addition, you have level death to take off any Lincoln, or take off any Lincolns at any time. The cooldown on that is only 8 seconds, so you can take out multiple Lincolns in one fight with the level death, which is usually considered a fairly expendable spell. As while it is a decent nuke, that's not how people typically play Doombringer anymore. Since Doombringer's sort of resurgence into the meta over the last 6 months or so, you have not really seen him come out as a mid laner nuker. You see him come in more as like an DPS disabler. And because of that, the level death is essentially just a spammable spell that you don't really need to save for anybody in particular.
So the hold on, I gotta dig through some of these things. Sorry. So Timbersaw is not, he's not even close to his Bloodstone. I'm really interested in that choice of the Lincolns. I mean, obviously worried about the Doom grab of Lincolns. That said, though, I really think Timbersaw could have benefited a lot more from a Bloodstone at this stage of the game. Yeah, because he was 2,000 gold away from Bloodstone up and running, and that was about 4 or 5 minutes ago before that Lincolns came out.
I don't know. We haven't really seen it pay off yet, but if he gets up one big save, like if Doombringer accidentally casts that Doom on him one time while that Lincoln's up, that's going to be a team wipe probably at the expense of getting, or at the expense of Arrow. So if it pays off once, it's paid off well enough to justify. But if it doesn't pay off soon, then you're right. The Bloodstone would have been a better choice anyway, because then you can just throw the shotgun from a distance and at least whittle down your opponents.
Maelstrom has just picked up on the Mirana, and the BKB is finally finished on Huskar.
All right, so Tuskar with a T. I think you keep saying Huskar, and
oh.
it's early for us. By the way, for everybody who's watching, we are in the Eastern Daylight Saving Light. We're Eastern time
Huskar
because they sound the same. And it's early. It's really, like, we've been up since 5:30 a.m. to make sure we're casting. I actually have not slept yet, so I've been up all night long watching these games and making sure that I'm more or less prepared to come in here for the SCA qualifiers. So we appreciate you guys' patience as we kind of warm up here. We did not have the benefit of being in the right time zone like our predecessors, and we're actually going to see a big engagement here. BKB is popped up and the ice charge to go out. There's some just on section out. The beam goes out onto the Invoker. Looks like a huge vacuum wall, and it looks like Orange is just getting beaten down here. Winter's next to fall. He's got 2 illusions on him with the Desolator attacks coming out of that Weaver, and he will end up going down to the level death. That is 4 down. Weaver the only one to survive, and now Roshan is probably on the menu.
Yeah, no. Wing for Arrow, and that is exactly what they needed to get themselves into this, man.
That just updated. Look at that drop over the course of a minute, 2,000 to 500, and this is anybody's game. The only point in time where there was a significant gold lead was like that first 8 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's only because in the first 8 minutes, 3,000 gold is a lot more than it is in the rest of the game. We still have never crested over, much over 3,000 gold lead. And we haven't even hit a 7,500 experience lead, which experience is also twisting back in the way of Arrow. And this is exactly what I was talking about earlier. Like, Arrow has good counter to Orange, and they've got good mobility. Orange, especially now that they have the Mirana going into like a semi-carry, I can definitely see them taking this in the late game. But Orange also has really good late game. It's really anybody's game. This is a nail biter in a big way.
I think the transition of Mirana into a carry is going to be kind of the game clincher for Arrow here. Right now, based on what I'm seeing, based on the way that play has gone, Arrow started slow, but Arrow has sort of just really forced themselves back into this game in a big way. Lots of farm going out on that Mirana. I am going to predict that if Arrow keeps playing the way that they are, this is their game. So in fact, I think that one of the things that I'd like to try to keep doing, you know, let you guys know where we think the win's coming from. Who do you think is in the lead right now at this particular moment?
Me, like, 17-17, I would say that Arrow's in, like, they have everything going.
I have to agree with that.
They have all the map control, although they have not gotten those aggressive wards up that I had said that they need to get up in order to maintain the momentum. And I think that Orange might be able to punish them for that. They have the Aegis up. They have the map control up. They just took a big team fight. They have now the gold advantage. Experience advantage is swinging their way. And not only that, but the psychological just boost that it gives players, the confidence that it gives them to take a huge team fight like that, and then a Roshan. You know, Arrow, their players are more or less smiling ear to ear right now, whereas Orange has brows furrowed. They might be snapping at each other, trying to make sure they come in, and you cannot really undervalue the efficacy of taking your opponent down psychologically. Honestly, this style of gameplay where you go after heroes and don't care about towers at all is almost entirely a psychological form of gameplay.
Yeah, no, and they're doing it very, very well. So while we would have said a little while ago that Orange was in the winning position, Arrow has taken it over. I have to agree with you 100% there. And if Arrow does what they do, they're gonna really, I think, take this game into firm control at the next 10 minutes or so.
Now this is an interesting swing, just because actually, well, I'm going to put a pipe in that because, yeah, wow. Epicenter is just going to be used and blow up that Mirana. You don't want to see that Epicenter used like that, but at the same time, to use it and get a kill is much better than to not use it. You know what I mean? Or to use it and not get kills in a team fight because the Sand King dies too soon or something. So it'll be up in 100 seconds. And basically what that tells us is that Orange isn't really planning on pushing too seriously, or else they would have wanted to keep that Epicenter for the counter initiation. So Arrow's got a little bit of time, and it is a good pick off to get that Mirana, because she is right now working on becoming a semi-carry, and the longer you can hold her back from doing that, like the longer you can keep Mjolnir from coming out, the better.
Absolutely. So it sounds like the original Malaysian correction we got in Twitch was a troll, so I'm still working on figuring out what we are allowed to say and what we aren't.
They're teams from Malaysia. There you go.
They're teams from Malaysia. I like it. That's what we're going to go with from now on, since that's a bit easier. Sharky's sitting in the bushes. Got in there for some safety reasons, and is just going to hang out for the time being.
Actually, it's also worth noting here that while 3 players from Orange are Malaysian, actually 2 are not. 2 of them are from Singapore. So
yep.
they are technically a Malaysian team, but they've got some diversity to them.
So that's it. Gold lead is 2,000 the way of Arrow right now. Dead even on the XP. 38 minutes in. Completely even as far as the stats and the kills go. Map control is about the same. Ward-wise, barely an advantage, just a tiny little advantage for Arrow, but not even that much. The one thing to indicate though is Orange has moved to defensive warding systems, which is usually a pretty good indicator of how they are starting to feel in this game. And I think that means that Arrow is going to be on the front foot and probably start to take the fight to them.
You know, I honestly think that while those are defensive ward placements, I think that's actually a fairly aggressive move, and here's why. Here's my rationale for that kind of weird statement. Orange knows, just like I know, just like you know, and just like probably Arrow knows, the way that Arrow takes victory here is by getting a couple of picks. Getting a couple of strong picks and then taking a fight off of that. They're actually going to smoke up and try to do that right now, it looks like. There's the smoke, and they're going to move in. Keeping vision up in your own jungle allows you to see exactly when they're coming in for the pick, which allows you to get that reinitiation, get some picks of your own, as Orange is running the same exact strategy. So that vision there is just to let them know when they can go in and fight, not to keep them safe. I mean, to keep them safe, yes.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Spending very much time in the jungle anyway. They're trying to bait out right now. Arrow's trying to bait out this Doombringer in the mid lane. He's just walking up and solo pushing out. However, the Sacred Arrow that came in should have alerted Orange that there's more to this than meets the eye. As though the fact that none of Arrow Gaming's heroes are on the table was not enough of an indicator. The Tornado will go out. That was going to land. The Ion Shell is still sitting on the Doombringer. But look at this. They're completely uncontested on this tower right now, and they still can't even knock it down. At 40 minutes, that's how little tower push this team has. There's the blink in, and the Doom does out. It is out on the Invoker, who is immediately going to have to back out. However, the damage is coming out into the Doombringer as well. Io coming in, trying to heal him up, and this should be a tower finally. Tier 2 drops at 39.45. Tier 2 drops, and it looks like it was traded for a Tier 2 in the bottom lane, as Arrow Gaming pushed in with that Weaver, which is why there was no response.
Yep.
First Tier 2s drop at 39-40 minutes.
Slow on the Tier 2s. That said, it was actually a pretty smart move. They moved back those range harass heroes. The chakra. Oh, man.
Wow, inside the base. That is ballsy. He's going to try to TP out. There's no stun here. There we go. The mini stun coming out of the level. That knife blink in, and that should be a kill. But well worth it once again. Just trying to make sure that that Mirana can not get any sort of farm up. That is very effective. I mean, just targeting her out with that epicenter over and over again is going to really hold her back, while the Invoker continues to farm up to make sure that Orange's semi-cores and cores are just a little bit stronger than Arrow's.
Absolutely. So taking a look at anything new that we've seen out, that Refresher Orb is up on Lance. So I'm not sure how long ago that came out. Right now we've got, it's really about it for major new items. The Mystic Staff is up on Winter, so we'll be seeing him grab his next. And there's the Link Sphere up on the Invoker. So a couple of new items coming out, and I think that should be... So I got distracted for a second. That Refresher's Orb on Lance. So I don't know, the Lance Ags Refresher Orb combo. Is that the way you typically see a Doom carry build start to finish?
Doom games end up going for this long because why not? It's like often a Sheeper comes out and the Shivas. Those are the 2 items that you might usually see come out. But remember, Doom is playing against 2 heroes who get hard countered, arguably more, but definitely 2 heroes who get hard countered by Doom. If you have a Refresher, you can take them both out of the fight. I don't think that this is a bad call at all. It is a little pub stompy. You don't normally see it, but in theory, it works very well. We'll see how it works in practice. And remember what we had from that Finch guy. He pointed out that Doombringer's only got into Refreshers up 3 times in pro play, and he's never lost with it.
It's true. Now, that said, there are 3 Lincoln Spheres on the side of Orange, so if Orange chooses, if Orange chooses to utilize those Lincoln Spheres correctly in a chain, if they can figure out what Doom's planning, and they can get that Refresher Orb double Doom, then essentially they're pulling him out of a fight themselves. So there is the possibility of some big play if they can really kind of chess game their heads around what Lance has planned.
Now, on Orange, we do have that Desolator up on the Weaver, and in our Ow, they are sitting on top of a pipe on the Darkseer now, and a Desolator on the Tusk. However, having Desolator on the Tusk is not anywhere near as effective as having Desolator up on the Weaver, both with the Geminate attack and the fact that Weaver can attack towers at a range to reduce their armor, make sure those towers drop. We're officially in the mode where Tier 2s are going to start dropping quickly.
Absolutely, they're going to drop very, very quickly. Lots of items are out. We're way past the core. And the interesting pickup on the Desolator for the Tusk. I thought Tusk would be taking a few more support-based items to let Darkseer kind of go down the path he wanted to. Darkseer with nothing but he's got the mech, the Blink Dagger, and he has the Pipe Insight. But that's really... He's still sitting on brown boots, so I don't know why they would send Tusk straight to that Desolator instead of maybe having him put something else like the Pipe of Insight together instead.
Well, because the pipe is already up on the Darkseer. Darkseer is playing like a semi-support role, which is pretty typical for him. Remember, Darkseer doesn't need anything up in terms of his basic damage or whatever. He just gets what the team needs, which is usually something along the lines of a mechanism and then Sheepstick or Shivas. But in this particular case was a mechanism and then the pipe. Now the Sand King in teamfights is essentially negligible. Like, you get one stun and a barely damaging epicenter and he's out. So, I think
I agree with that. I just think I would have preferred to see the pipe go up on the Tusk and the Hex Stick start to work on the Darkseer a little bit earlier, if that makes sense. I don't think Desolator is going to be as valuable for him.
I think Desolator is something that the team needed, and it obviously wasn't coming out of the Mirana. So that's what it comes down to. Like, the team needed it. Out of the heroes who could have built it, Tuskar is the one who's going to be in the fray the most, who could afford it. So I don't hate the call. I would have rather seen it come up on the Mirana, quite honestly.
Yeah.
Like that would have been the ideal pick. But Mirana's just starting to get into her seat as a core. She started off as a very, very hard support. And the fact that they're rotating her as a core at all is kind of impressive. But the fact that they can't do that and also run into for the Desolator, and also the fact that you have a unique attack modifier on the Mjolnir, which will take away a little bit of the procs on Deso potentially. That makes up just a little bit of an issue. But of course, Mjolnir only has a unique attack modifier when it procs. So not that big of a deal. But if you get a first hit procs on a Mjolnir while your team is attacking something, that is another 4 or 5 team attacks that you don't have that negative armor on that opponent, which in theory could make a big difference.
Right.
It's one of those really small things that in reality probably doesn't make a big of a difference, but in theory, you know, especially since
that's all we got. That's all you got, Dota. Theory. And hoping it works in execution. That said, assuming execution, Arrow goes into the Roche pitch. Should be able to get this now. We see response coming from Orange. They do throw the Tornado in to get them thrown up in the air. Here comes the EMP.
Tusk has it, and now they are just going to back out. They've got the Moonlight Shadow. No, they do want to try and engage. Moonlight Shadow's still up for a couple seconds. There's going to be the blink, but there's nobody to attack. And all Orange just backs out. Smart call. Don't engage on that. They weren't low. They knew they weren't low because they saw with the Sunstrike, they had the Tornado go out. Orange let Arrow waste the last Vegas. It just frittered away. And to be fair, Arrow didn't completely waste it because they used that time to farm and catch back up and take the lead. But they're only 2,500 gold in lead at 45 minutes. This is still, in a huge way, anybody's game. If Orange has one advantage, too, is that their split push is much better than Arrow's.
Right. Now, what do you think? Did Tusk take the Aegis simply because Doom clearly doesn't have a spot for it at the moment, and Mirana isn't quite a carry yet? Is that their general idea
Tusk is at the biggest risk, right? He rolls in by himself a lot of times. He's in the middle of the fray, and he has the negative armor on that Deso. He's the one that they're going to try to target down. He's the one they're going to be able to see. He's going to open up every fight, and then he's going to get nuked. And also the fact that allows that Tusker to work like a Wraith King. You know, just run in, I'll initiate the fight, know you're going to die, but you're getting everybody kind of low. As the rest of your team comes around on the flank, as the rest of your team comes in from the rear, as the rest of your team just barrels down middle of the lane at them, they're going to have to either focus on the Tusk or route. And if you can force them to route because you have an Aegis on a Tuskar, they will lose heroes. That's where you lose the most heroes, is when you turn to run. You don't lose a lot of heroes typically like man mode fighting. You lose heroes as heroes are forced to turn around.
And Arrow takes a really smooth tower there on the top lane as they push down towards the high ground. Right now, Orange is spread out across the map.
They do have the ability to get around, but it looks like they want to try to split push this. And remember, the split is stronger. I don't know if it's this much stronger, though. Weaver is going to stay up here. And is going to push in with a very small wave. A 2-wizard, no catapult wave. It's going to pop over onto the high ground and immediately start taking that tower. Meanwhile, on the bottom end, we are seeing a huge team fight as the snowball goes in. And that is going to be enough to force Orange back. The Timbersaw is going to buy back. And all the while, wow, the Weave actually grabs that tower. All the while, there is still team fight going on back. Buyback really helped out. DDZ getting very low. The Aegis is going to be popped. The rest of the team is sitting up here on the high ground. Can't really do anything about it. This is going to be the Shock from going out. The snowball's going to be easy for the fine up that line channel. He's going to get that stuff. He gets a bullet punch. And now the back end wall is there. Everybody's going to be forced to back out of that. However, the Invoker does have his BKB up. It is now out. No more BKB charge for him. They're chasing it. Some more auto attacks going in. Tuskar is there. DDZ trying to get those auto attacks. A nice EMP getting that pushback. And there it is. Or excuse me, the Shockwave getting that pushback. And one more auto attack should be a life of the Invoker, who's immediately going to buy back. Second payback coming out of Orange, and they want to continue to fight this out. There's going to be a polar punch out on TD. Timbersaw is getting very low, however, a very, very nice initiative with Epicenter. It's just not as powerful as it used to be. Johnny getting very low. He's probably going to go down. The Tornado goes out, and that should be enough to kill him. He drops to his death from above. And all things said and done, there's not said and done because the Weaver has now come back and wants to do. Okay, this is smart. Weaver can't really solo engage on Doombringer while he has a Ganon's Refresher and Doom.
Yes, indeed.
Did he use both his Dooms? He did. So
he did.
Okay. But yeah.
So that said, though, that exchange huge for Arrow. Arrow made a massive play there.
For Orange made a massive. Rex down for Arrow. Rex up for Orange. Yeah.
So crazy. Weaver went in. Sand King wasn't even right-clicking, essentially. Weaver went in, took that tower. Sand King immediately joined him. The only person who went back was Mirana to try and stop him, and Weaver ended up getting the kill on the Mirana and being able to just walk back out of the base. So a huge exchange. Orange with a massive benefit out of that.
Boots of Travel now up on the Doombringer, who also has the Assault Cuirass. So they've got everything they could possibly want for push. Orange just did such a great job distracting them from objective. And since Arrow's been playing such a non-objective based game, it's probably fairly easy to get their mind on hero kills. However, Orange did use 2 buybacks in that fight. And one of them was a buyback, get some kills, then die again. I wouldn't quite call it a dieback, but now Arrow knows if they can go in and take one fight, even if they end up trading off a little bit of push coming out of that Weaver, they can get double racks. For sure, there are no buybacks, and it's going to be more than a minute before that Invoker comes back next time he dies. It's going to resell it. Sand King got up the Veiled Discord, which is a standard item on him now, and we see it a lot more often. In this particular case, I don't know if it's the item to go for because there's the pipe out, there's a BKB, 2 BKBs out. It's just, I don't know, and there's not that much. I guess there is a fair amount of magic damage on his team, but maybe, I don't know. We'll have to see if that Veiled Discord ends up paying off. I'm kind of hedging on whether or not it's actually going to end up having been useful.
Haste.
So Darkseer did just get up the Scythe of Ice. Assault Cuirass obviously finished up on Lance, as well as the Boots of Trav. So we're getting a lot of 6-slotted pieces starting to come out here.
Weaver, oh wow, he's got the Monkey King bar and he's got the Demon Edge to boot. So he is hitting very hard and very fast. Over 350, no, about 350 damage, 349 damage per hit out of that Weaver. And that's with the Geminate attack and with the ability to Shikuchi and time lapse. Like, he's a very scary hero.
Yeah, and that right there is, I mean, that's why you saw him drop that tower and drop those barracks ridiculously fast. The prospect of a Geminate attack from a Weaver who's swinging for almost 400 damage is scary to say the least.
There we go, engagement coming in. There's going to be Tuskar moving on the Weaver. The Weaver is going to get very low and immediately just die.
So
wow, before he hits the ground from that polar punch. Just
as we talk about, how do you deal with a Weaver who's doing 400 Geminate attacks? And that's exactly how you do it. Kill him before he has a chance to even think about trying to escape.
Oh yeah, the way that ends up working out, Weaver did buy first, and he has 5,000 gold in his pocket. So he will be fine, but this is going to force the buyback for sure.
Absolutely.
He can't wait a minute. They're charging down the middle lane, and the rest of his team isn't even here. And are there TPs? There are, and they are going to be coming back. Everybody except Lich has a TP, and Lich is running back as fast as he can. Will he get back in time, though? They're going to immediately rotate around, try to get this rack. And they are going to be able to do so. No, there's going to be the glitch. The buyback's still not coming out Weaver. Now, there's the buyback, but what? Too late. They are potentially going to lose a rack here. Tuskar is going to come in from the back end.
But it doesn't look good.
Stay on the objective. Doom does have his Refresher up right now, so he does have the double Doom ready to go, along with that Sheep Stick by the Darkseer. So this could be an interesting engagement if Orange doesn't really think about how to go in. And yeah, they let him take the racks. They don't want to push the defense.
1085 average within that Lator for the Tuskar punch. That is insane. And that, I mean, that is exactly how that Weaver died so fast. He wasn't getting that low, and then you saw that Walrus punch come out, and just bam, he hit the ground and died.
So, and that was Orange with a nice little push into the base evens out, or Arrow with a nice push in the base evens out the game. Forced TP back because of that crazy creep wave that's just coming in through the bottom. And right now the game is literally dead even.
52 minutes, 21-22. Both teams have a racks out. Both teams have a tier 2 still up, although the mid tier 2 a little more important than the safe lane tier 2 at this stage. But even so, it's very, very even. And still no Bloodstone up on the Timbersaw, because he had to go for the Sheeper first.
Yep. So that's it. Is they're really going for some isolation. Timbersaw almost seems to have transitioned himself into, I don't say a support role, but definitely noticed that his hero's falling off and has gone for things that are going to really allow that Doom. And eventually Murata put the work in that they need to put in.
Doom has 11, 2, and 7, by the way. He is absolutely wrecking. And he is now smoked up, it looks like, and coming in for some blood. Good old Lucy looking to grab himself a kill. And there's not going to be anything for him to grab. So, can we talk about this base push that just happened a minute ago? Why did the Weaver wait so long to buy back? Because it seems to me, like if he hadn't waited quite so long, they might have been able to defend. But as it was, he ended up spending his buyback, waiting on his buyback timer, and now they didn't end up defending at all anyway.
So he didn't buy back until they transitioned to the Brax on the top lane.
And then some.
Right.
They after the glyph. He didn't buy back till after they had glyphed.
Right.
Like,
so I bought into the maybe not buying back thing while they were trying to take the mid tower, because you had glyph and damage output from the tower potentially, maybe not allowing them to go after Rax. But once they transitioned, yeah, I think that buyback is something that had to happen way before the glyph ended, because you saw he does the damage. He's the only real person on this team who's able to carry anything at this stage of the game. So not having the Weaver there pretty much guarantees nothing's gonna happen.
Double damage on the Weaver, and he wants to find anything to kill. He just desperately looking to kill, and he just saw that Sacred Arrow warp by. I'm wondering if he's gonna get a little ballsy and go in.
No, I think you see a sacred arrow when you're wandering as a Weaver. You think that's the initiation of the entire team. So he did the right thing.
But that is what happened to him last time he went in for a kill. Right, he went in for a kill and bit off a lot more than he could chew.
So, and that is Tusk picking up that Daedalus. If he gets there, it would be pretty interesting. The amount of critical damage that he essentially can do after that Walrus Punch is going to be insane.
This is the exact opposite of most Dota games. Most Dota games, beginning starts off kind of slow and then it ramps into action. This one started off more than a kill a minute for the first 20 minutes, and now we've barely seen any action at all other than a couple of pushes for like 15, 20 minutes. It's like, it's bizarro Dota.
So Doom dropped the Blink Dagger, pick up the Heart. It's Ross. Also worth noting, there are still 3 sets of brown boots on the map right now.
Wow, really?
Yeah, 3 sets of brown boots.
Wow, that is insane. We got 6 slot up on the Doom, and the Murata is not going to be too far away from that pretty soon. They are going to grab this tower, but they're going to be split push here as the Weaver's not going to be able to get here soon enough.
I don't mean in love.
Yep, so that's a fast tower push. They're in a position where Arrow's doing pretty well.
They are going to get this straight as the Weaver is here now. This should only be like 2 seconds before they have. Look at this. He's like a tiny. They're going to glyph, buy some time. That was an interesting glyph. I think they originally maybe thought about hitting that glyph to buy themselves some time to grab the racks. And the glyph actually scared off the Weaver, which is funny because only the Murata TP'd back, and Weaver can take Murata like no problem at all.
Yeah, I think Weaver is starting to play very, very carefully. He knows that there is no buyback for him for a long time, and he cannot go down.
He does manage to grab a kill on the Murata, so he did turn around as soon as he found out that it was just Murata.
That she was by herself.
He's like, oh yeah, I can eat that all day, every day. Twice on Sunday. It's no big deal.
Exactly, but if he gets picked off for any reason, I mean, Arrow essentially gets a Rex because he's going to be out for so long with no buyback, and he's really the only massive damage output that they have going for them right now. Epicenter, you saw it just tickle last time around. The bouncing Lich Ball is permanent, but still not doing nearly as much damage as they need it to do to kind of detour that Doom push. So that said, they have to be, Orange has to be very careful and kind of run a 4 protect 1 push style of strategy here as they make sure that Weaver is safe at all times.
Yeah, but remember what I've been saying since the very beginning. The split push is much better for Orange, and they are taking great advantage of it. They got the first set of racks because of it. Arrow can't really split up and push nearly as strong, although they could bring off the Doombringer with the IO and push one lane, and then have the other lane being pushed by all 3 of the opponents, and then just hope that the 3 outweighs the 2, and that Orange reacts to them, because as long as Orange reacts to the 2 out of Arrow, then of course the Doom can just be moved over into that lane by the IO, no big deal. But if Orange decides, oh, we'll react onto the 2, Arrow would pretty much be screwed because they don't have any way to move over and help. So it's a very risky call. Meanwhile, Weaver can just Shikuchi away. It's not a big deal.
Absolutely. So Weaver doing some hard farm right now. Is he looking to get those boots of Trav so he can 6-slot himself out? Or I assume that's where he's going to go with this one.
Yeah. Taking a look at what the Weaver has. He's got his Daedalus, yeah. Boots of Trav, and then he'll be able to grab up one more item, maybe a Butterfly coming out.
Yeah, I think a Butterfly would be a great choice for him in this game.
Yeah, and the gold lead's still only 5,000, by the way. It's been a while since I checked up on that, but it hasn't really fluctuated very much.
No, and that's I've actually stopped looking at the charts aggressively like I normally do because of the fact that this game has been very stable as far as gold and XP goes, and nobody had overwhelming advantage. I mean, a 5,000 gold lead, or it's 4.5 now, at 58 minutes is, I mean, it's like a 200 gold lead at 5.
The tornado comes in. There's going to be Aegis and Cheese on the board.
So let's see, Aegis goes to DDZ, Cheese goes to Mosin, so that's the Marana, and the Tusk, who are going to have that bounce back viability. Tusk does have his Daedalus up and running, so that crit compound is available now, and he is doing a ton of critical damage, 240%, plus, I think, does that compound up on Walrus Punch?
Does what compound up on Walrus?
So does the Walrus Punch critical of 350 multiply with the Daedalus critical damage increase?
If they both struck at the same time, I think so. I don't think Walrus Punch can't crit at the same time, but it's just statistically not that likely. We don't Walrus Punch that often, so we'll have to look that one up because I'm not 100% sure, but I think so. Yes. Yeah, Walrus Punch 1109 already, and Winter is getting very low. He will go down. That's the first Doom being used there as well. However, there goes the Lich ulti, and that chain bounce is going to do a fair amount of damage. Bouncing the creep, and there's going to be the epicenter as well. The Aegis on the top. The Lich ult coming back and bouncing in the weave.
What a bounce!
Great bounce back to walls here, however, there's going to be a fair amount of damage. There's big swings coming out of Lance. He's still got just about full health. The Winter is getting very low. If Weaver does buy back immediately, the Triangle racks up. The range goes down. The melee is going to go down as well. There's nothing that can be done, but Lincoln's is up on the Doombringer from one of his allies, and now the Weaver's actually going to turn and engage onto the Tusk instead. But the Archsharp top of the Tornado's going to be there. There's a little bit of damage. The Waller Punch now 11:30 this time. He snowballs out. He's going to go and try to get that Lich. He is going to grab that Lich. The sun goes out. And meanwhile, Lance getting his auto text out of the Weaver. The Weaver time for the second time. That is a dive back. Switches out. The Tusk going out. It's too strong. And the Lance still has not been touched. Yeah, full health, he is a monster. The buyback coming out of the Invoker, but it does not matter. The buyback coming out of the Sand King, but what can they do but watch from afar? They are just going to end up feeding in. The next rank of racks is going to go down. Lance is a beast. He is getting his health back so fast while being taking that tower. He's just tanking a tier 3. They're going to get megas here. If not the game, there's going to be the Tornado EMP. Will that be enough to scare them off? Arrow DDZ is getting very low. He's going to pop up that BKB. Wow. The Invoker wants to get out and get that kill. Arrow's going to get down to about 200 health, which is like one swing away. That the Sunstrike goes out. It is going to miss. Tusker is 4 back out. Here's going to be tier 4s. There's all the creeps, all the catapults you could ever want in the base, and Lance is still swinging the big sword. Can there be anything to do? There's still 70 seconds on the Weaver. They are they're going to try to fight this out. There's going to be the Chakram coming out, and the Timber's not doing anything. Get half his out from one Walrus Punch. No GG called. It literally comes down to the Ancient being attacked.
Oh man, I wish I'd seen a Lich ulti at the end there. That would have been phenomenal. That said though, what a game. That was quite the wrap up. And Arrow comes back from an early struggle to secure that win.
Absolutely. So, thanks for tuning in, guys. My name is Gorgon the Wonder Cow. You can catch me over on Twitter at GodCowDota. I'm Toffees, I am also joined by That Phage Guy at That Phage Guy for our stats. I want to thank him for tuning in. And, yeah, this was a really long game, so we're gonna jump out right away, not do a whole